Before we get started on the wind and light properties, I would like to show you on how to customize the 2D window. Since a lot of time, especially in the beginning, spent on designing and drawing the 2D patterns, it can be used to be able to know how to resize the grid area in the 2D window. So let's jump to the preference and select the last option, 2D window properties, that is also available under the shortcut F12. Okay, so opens up, and as you can see, the property editor window opens up a list of settings that can be found useful. So first of all, if the grid in the 2D window is bothering you, you can just switch it off and on right here. And if you want to resize this square right here, you can just activate the grid, and from here distance millimeter option, just let's say I put 5. See, the grid square is changed in smaller size, which can be very beneficial if you are working on very small elements and you would like to be precise. Now another useful setting is line length, and if I activate it, you see that all the length of all of the lines in the patterns are now available, so I can see them. As you see, this can lower visibility quite a bit, so it's easier to just turn on and off the feature by simply pressing Shift Z on your keyboard. So you can switch the length on and off when you need them without having go to the 2D window properties. Now I am going to put that back and deactivate the grid, and I am also going to hide the line length for now because I don't need them now. So let's move on to the light controller. Let's go to display, environment, and select light controller. So we will be able to see it in our scene, and if we zoom out quite a bit, we can see that it is right here, and by clicking on it, I am able to access its settings in the property editor. So the light can be clicked on and moved around by using the gizmo. And by the way, if you have a different gizmo right here, you can always go to preference, gizmo, and local coordinate or world coordinate. As per your requirement, you can choose. So you can always move the light and see the shadow is changing. Okay, now take a look at the settings that we have right here. We got the ambient color. The ambient color settings illuminates all surfaces equally with the color that we choose. So if we go for red, you can see that our avatar and clothing gets tinted in red, and the diffuse color, it has a similar effect, but it illuminates the avatar only where it hits by light. So as you can see here, when it's getting hit by light, it's a bit more reddish than all of the other places. Okay, and what the specular color settings does, it illuminates the shinier part. So if our avatar would be wearing a garment that have some shiny details, that color would be illuminated on those shiny parts. Okay, we also have another light in our scene that is right here, and if we click on it, you can see that we have the exact same options, so we can change that as well. Now just go back to display, environment, and switch off show light controller, so we won't be able to see it anymore. Now we have already established that the garment under simulation mode is subjected to the law of gravity, but with most program we are able to cheat that ceiling by going to this scene tab in the object browser and find the simulation property, and clicking on it, we are able to access the gravity option right here, and it's by default minus 9800. Now we can make it lower to create a drooping effect. That can be useful if we want to simulate wet clothing that sort of just hangs on the avatar. So let's try to do that. I put 115, 150, 15,000 and let's simulate. Now apparently it doesn't have any effect. So let's go even lower like 60,000. Now you can see that it's already pulling it downward. Now we can also go to other way by going to 0 and you can see very slowly the garment is sort of pulling upward away from her body. So it's not affected by gravity anymore. So you can reach a number of very cool effects by simply altering this little detail. So let's put that back to minus 9800.00 and then it droops back again. The outer subject that I would like to talk about is the wind controller. Now the gravity is the only thing affecting our garments. So if we are going for certain look and if we would like to add some life to our clothing, we can do so with the wind options. If we go to display, environment and then show wind controller, we can see a cone appear in our scene, and if we click on it, its property editor opens up settings for the wind. So just activate it and see what it does. And as you can see, it's already looking in effects in the garment, blowing wind from this direction. We can also of course make the gizmo around to alter the blowing effect. And let's take a look at the settings. We have two types, the planar type and spherical types. The planar controller means that the window blowing only one direction, and spherical one means that the wind is blowing from every direction from the sphere. So of course this strength is pretty self-explanatory. It indicates the wind intensity and I am going to leave it as it is. The decay settings treat the reach of the wind, and the frequency, which is measured in second, indicates the duration of each cycle. So if it is set to 0, the wind will blow with the same intensity, but if it is set to let's say 5 seconds, it will change the intensity in the cycle of 5 seconds. As you can see, we are getting the effect with the more intensity and going to lower, and the turbulence right here and at the end tell us about the moment of our garment would be. So we can push this up a little bit. See, we are getting completely different result right here, much more turbulence than it wasn't at the beginning. So this is bring us to the conclusion, and the next we will be exploring the garment and learning how to change it.